All right. Welcome to the Dog Savant Podcast. My name is Brett Endies. I am a professional dog trainer for 30 years. The goal of this show is to provide dog training and behavior information if you are a dog or puppy owner looking for tips, advice, learning about the life of a professional dog trainer. If you're a client of mine and would like to supplement the information I am providing in the real world, um, this podcast is for you. Being up front, there is some background noise because my little station here, I'm going to call it a studio, is directly on the other side of a window with the HVAC units for my complex, and somebody has it going right now. So hopefully it doesn't interfere with this too much. This is going to be pretty short because I have to get to my group classes soon. I've got maybe about 20 minutes to record here, which for me is pretty long. If anyone's listened to episodes, they usually go about 12 minutes. I was recommended to that I make my podcast longer, up to an hour. I'm like, well, it's easier said than done when you're really kind of going off the cuff. You have limited time and you're doing it by yourself. It's a stream of consciousness thing. I don't have, I have a general idea sometimes of what I'm going to talk about, but it's just me with a brain and a microphone. Oh, by the way, I also have a different podcast called Revitalized Podcast. I can't even say it. Um, I got accepted into vet school recently, and it is a separate account podcast, kind of world of mine where it's going to follow that journey as a not such a young man in his 50s starting vet school. This show, the Dog Savant podcast, is more geared towards dog behavior, my life as a trainer, as it always has been. I've been doing this show off and on for I'd say probably 5, 6 years now. It hasn't been consistent. We're probably at episode like 118, 120 or something like that. I'm going to be doing it more consistently. And to me, a podcast is me just talking long form for more than a couple minutes about something. So that's why I consider some, they're not official podcasts the way that like some professional people do it, but I'm not here to be professional. I would love your attention on this. I would love to be able to provide information that helps you and your dogs, and I'd love to entertain you. But reality is I've got a lot of things in the dog world that I'm still wanting to accomplish. And this is just one of many platforms that I can use to be able to share the information and get you more interested in me so you could support me doing what I do. And that's why I ask, please don't forget to subscribe, review, share both my podcasts, The Dog Savant and Revitalize. It's like revitalize, but with vet in the middle. On my social media, it's at the Dog Savant, TheDogsavant, and Revitalized, Revetalized. My website is dogtrainingla.com, and I'm sure at some point I'll have sponsors and other things that I can provide at the intro to a show. But at that point, let's move on. Or at this point, let's move on. Today, I'm going to teach my group classes. Any client of mine knows I offer that as a just access to anybody who works with me privately. Training really with my experience and how it works for my clients, or the way I do my training, is working one-on-one primarily with the dogs and owners together, teaching them the abilities and skills and understandings to have their dog listen to them or address the issues in their relationship or lack of structure being created that's causing a fracture in that relationship and causing, it's why there's so many behavior issues with dogs. It's not like they just inherently have issues. There's some human factor that either wasn't doing what it was supposed to, or not doing now what the dog requires to have these dogs. In a lot of cases, I walk into some of the most out of control situations. Um, but the group class is a nice way for people to get together. A lot of dogs I see have reactivity, social issues. They just can't focus around their owners when being handled. So it's a good way to practice around like-minded people. Nobody's judging, everyone's there, and I'm there facilitating it so I can help give guidance, coaching, tips. And what's nice is that if you're a client who's worked with me one-on-one and we're kind of talking about your situation very intimately when it's our private lesson, it's like a group therapy. You can come and see other people have a similar experience and hear me say things to them and help them with their dog that might apply to your situation. And you can kind of learn from that too. So that's why I do group classes. Usually a couple times a month, I'll do them drop-in basis. Once I start vet school next year, I'm going to just do them when I'm back in town. And I'm also going to be conducting more intensive weekend workshops for people that want to work with me and won't have the opportunity in the real world, or people that don't live in Los Angeles and it's not so easy to access me. I'm going to schedule those probably, I'd say, 3 to 6 times a year. I'm going to do very intensive weekend workshops based mostly on reactivity cases and maybe some kind of puppy training clinics as well. And that's just a way, of course, that I'm going to be able to still help people in the real world while I supplement it with my online training and all the other platforms that I've been creating because I've been working on it. I'm creating uh, online training courses, books I'm working on all simultaneously. Reality is I need to have these out there and working for me and helping people because I'm not going to be able to get in my car and just drive to people's homes. I'm going to be in the Cayman Islands 2.5 years. That's where vet school is going to be for the first portion of the schooling. So that's exciting, but I also am not able to really work. I'm assuming there's not really that many dogs needing training there, but more than that, I have a student visa I'm going to be living there on. So I'm not allowed to really work there. I can do online stuff, but I can't really in person, short of volunteering or whatever. So help me help you and help me back because it's yeah, I'm going to need that support. And again, if you don't want to work with me in person, online, I will have these in-person opportunities throughout the year, and I'm going to have everything created, sign up forms, more information, ways that you can reserve your spots. They're going to be limited. I'm not going to just have 30 people show up. It's going to be pretty exclusive to just maybe 6 to 10 people who want to work with me and really get some things accomplished. And that's another thing. I take my life very seriously. I take what I do very seriously. It's going to come at a point where I'm not going to be available to people who aren't going to do the work that I need them to do to help their dogs. And it's not about appeasing me. I say that daily. I'm like, please don't think it's about me. My ego has nothing to do with it. It's about what your dog needs. And you're not providing the consistency, willingness to make the changes, or just doing the techniques as I'm telling you in a way that's proven to work. I mean, I'm not just making this up as I go. It's like this is going to work if you do it, but it has to be to a T. Your dog, it's real to them 24/7. I just can't stress that enough. A dog is always assessing life from a dog's point of view. If you are part timing your training when your dog has some severe issues and you're letting other rules be broken or just a lack of awareness on your part from how the dog is perceiving the relationship or direction you're giving them, there's no way they're going to get any better when you train them just when a person comes to the door if their hypervigilance is driving them in a generalized way throughout their daily routines by keeping track of everything and jumping on every move you make and changes in the home environment that you share. Plus, you're going to stress your dog out and they say, well, why are you making me listen right now when this is the biggest thing? It's for the money now. There's someone at the door. I got to protect the home. I've got to protect you. You're stepping into something that now I don't trust because you don't act this way all the time. You're letting me on the furniture, you're babying me, you're ignoring my needs for structure. And now you want me to check in and follow your lead and feel that it's safe and take your command? It doesn't line up that way. And that's the issue. Even a lot of trainers I see is they do spot training. Well, here's your fire that always happens every day in your garage. Here's a fire extinguisher, how to put it out. Well, it doesn't spread, I guess, but the fire's going to start every day versus, well, why is this fire starting every day in your garage? There's a root cause issue here. And that's how I approach dog training. It's how I approach everything, but people want to just keep it on the surface. It's not comfortable to talk about. It takes physical and mental effort. You're not indulging all the time. You're not doing what feels good. I get it. It's nothing to do with your dogs, though. It's all about you as the human's needs getting met versus the actual dogs being accommodated. Um, Martin Deely, who passed away not too long ago, he was the president at a time of the International Association of Canine Professionals. I had a little bit of like a communication with him probably about 15 years ago. Got a book deal. He was going to do the forward for my book. Lo and behold, there's like politics and stuff in dog world, so I never really got into those. But I was a member back then when it was a little less like that. And but he wrote an article that I used to print out and share with my clients called accommodating needs. I'd love to, I must have it somewhere, a copy of it I can still print out or share online. But it was called Accommodating Needs by Martin Deely, DEEL. I think it's EY or yeah. Um, yeah, so he lived in Florida, but he's from England, and he was a great, respected trainer. He knew dogs. He got it, and yeah. So we're always accommodating our needs, but not seeing how the dog sees it. And I'm telling you, as a dog trainer, I have a bachelor's in science. I'm finishing my master's in was it now 6 months from now? No, sorry, 9 months from now. I'll have my master's. I think I'm smart enough, and my experience, even if I didn't have any of the letters after my name. I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to dog behavior. And I'm telling you, the root cause of all these issues are humans needing what humans need psychologically or logistically versus doing what the dogs require. That's it. And yes, But I had my last, I get it. Your last dog wasn't requiring all this. I understand. But usually, when you have a behavior issue in your dog, or you have a puppy that just needs to learn the basics now, quickly, concisely, and consistently, um, all these human excuses, that's all I hear. And it's happened a bit lately because I'm being less tolerant of the it's okay, we'll get around to it mind, because I don't want people upset, because I don't need it in my life and I don't want to upset people. I want to help them. It happens a lot too, and I'll have a whole podcast about it. And boy, am I going to get canceled for that one, where I talk about, unfortunately, sometimes the nurturing element of the female energy can sometimes be a contributor to the issues, and sometimes the female perception, because men, Mars Venus thing, it's still a reality, as much as we have some weird the idea that this is like not real. There are genetic differences in the males and females of every species. So reality is women are better nurturers, men are better fixers and literal thinkers. That's why we are tool users, and women are more lovers, nurturers, and creative types. It's just, it's not a standard, it's a spectrum. But what I find is females have a harder time not being a nurturer when a dog needs a more literal, straightforward leader. I mean, to the point where I will give such concise instructions. And I'm not talking about like organic chemistry equations. I'm talking about, like, I want your dog to sit and you only reward it when it looks at you, and don't say anything else. Or if it lays down and you said sit, tell it to sit, or at least say lay. Just very basic, black and white. There's the camp 2 + 2 is 4. AB, simple. I can't tell you how many times there's just right after I finish the instructions and I just put the period on the sentence, they literally will apply this like the opposite. I'm like, do you have any self awareness in the eyes of your dog, because you're not demonstrating it with me? And these people get mad at me. I'm the bad guy. But we don't want to work with you anymore. You're a great trainer, but this and that. But we're going to discount. I hear, you know what? It's not me. That's why I know the types. And it's not that you're bad. You're not wrong. It's people see the reality as criticism. Like I'm telling them they're bad, or they're, again, a little bit of narcissistic tendencies at times. But that doesn't mean bad. We all have it. But get a hold on that shit. We all have narcissistic tendencies, but just control that. We wouldn't brush our hair and wear nice clothes and smell. I mean, we want to appear in a certain way. The nicey nice, your dog is just walking all over you. If that's the case, your dog has separation anxiety and boundary issues, and you still want to bargain with nature and tell me why your dog needs to be on the furniture or follow you, or because I'm just a lover. This is just how I am. What does it have to do with your dog? That to me is the most narcissistic way of operating in life. Adjust. You, or don't get the dog. I'm fine with it. But I'm saying, you're in a relationship, you have children, you have a spouse, you have friends, you have a dog. Adjust, not to, just because it's what they need. If anything, if you want to be narcissistic about it, they can't control themselves. They're an animal, they're a child. You can control yourself. You're a grown adult, unless you have some kind of mental issue. And I'm sorry about that, because I struggle with mental illness myself. You got to get a handle on it, or don't have your dogs around them, or maybe train your dogs to be balanced enough that as long as you're taking care of what they need, they can just chill out and ignore your human nonsense. That could happen too. But again, this isn't constant, but it happens a lot, and it's a whole lot more prevalent in 2025 than it was when I was training in the late 90s, where dogs were kind of dogs. They were evolving into this. And again, I'm benefiting from it. I'm making a living. I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to pay my way through vet school if the online stuff wasn't, popular with dog training and share. But I want to share reality. And what I just described a minute ago, that's a harsh reality. That's what I was saying. I'm going to get canceled for talking like this, because I'm not, this isn't my opinion. I'm speaking about the patterns that I see working with, I'd say, at least 20 plus clients a week for years, decades. I know what I'm seeing. And again, if I was just saying it and there was no results, when people apply it, they all listen. And we're talking about not just obedience. You can see videos of my dogs doing all this cool training and, commands and listening. I'm talking about like resolving some serious shit, some real problem behavior stuff. And that is what this is about. It's so serious to the dog that they think that life and death is a pending event or a potential in a situation, when it of course isn't. And they need to learn to just calm down and check in with you because of that role you take. More of a stoic, calm, direction giving person, not an emotional, loving, too much outer vibrations being thrown around where you're not giving them specifics. Dogs can get anxiety not knowing what to do or where to lay in any shared room that you exist with them. Do I walk faster on the walk? Do I try to keep getting ahead? Why do you think dogs pull and react? Because they're always thinking where they're going before they get there. That's anxiety. I have group class soon. I got to wrap this up because if I start getting into her now, I know I'm going to be late in traffic. Guess who's going to do that too? Your dog trainer. I'm going to start thinking about the 25-minute drive I have from my house to my park where my park to the park where I do my training, and I'm going to start thinking more and worrying, and I'm going to picture it more. And then me as someone who has that anxiety mindset, right? The spectrum, the ADHD, the anxiety wiring, it makes me understand how it must feel for a dog when I'm not. I might be uncomfortable. I might get irritated, but I'm not going to die. An animal's an animal. You can't reason with them. You can't pet them. If you understand how sensory processing works, you're petting them, you're overstimulating them. You're conditioning them to get reward and regard when you should be redirecting them and getting them to be calm and relaxed, then give them that reward and regard. People aren't doing that. Um, and I see it with my own eyes. And when I tell them to, a lot of people do. They're great. They see their dogs listen to me. They have to kind of take a step back and do it. But a lot of people, and unfortunately, a lot of the female members of the family struggle with this when the dog's in their presence. I get so often, oh, when I'm home, the dog's fine. I go away for a work trip, it's complete chaos. Same as like when I show up once a week and then when I leave, Brett, as soon as you left the door, well, what are you doing? Or what are you not doing? Or, well, busy. All excuses. Again, I feel I'm not caring, but I'm speaking for your dog and the dog doesn't understand. You could be dying and they're like, well, I got to step up as the leader because it was never established and no one else is doing it. My instinct is to take direction from a human because I was just meant to help them hunt and protect the camps. I'm just a wolf at heart. That's all a dog is. Anyway, I have to go. I've got to go do my class. Thank you so much for anyone who's been listening, following, supporting. Again, don't forget, just subscribe to the podcast. iTunes is going to go back up soon. Spotify, it's on. My YouTube channel, at the Dog Savant. And then my new world here, Revitalize, following my journey as a 50-plus-year-old vet student. Thanks again. Have a great weekend. Put the time in for your dog.